I've created a progress management system. We start keeping some statistics about their game, about their different rounds, and start tailoring their time management and their practice sessions based around the different aspects they need to work on with those drills. And a lot of that is learning to take some of these drills onto the course.
Golf Smarter, number 708. Part 2 with Daniel Lee on Gravity Golf and a special offer for the Gravity Golf Challenge.
This is Golf Smarter, sharing stories, tips, and insights from great golf minds to help you lower your score and raise your golf IQ. Here's your host, Fred Green.
Welcome back to the Golf Smarter podcast, Danny.
Oh, thank you very much, Fred.
Yeah, well, welcome back. This is the same phone call, but I just needed to make it sound like it's part 2 here. So, yeah, you were, boy, I have questions about what you were saying, but you were just about to say, as we finished our last conversation, you were just talking about how I brought up that, you nowhere in Gravity Golf do I see the mention of Ben Hogan's secret, but I do see the names of Trevino and Chi-Chi and Jack and Freddie and Ernie. I see modern day players that we get to watch and understand better because there's so much analysis of their swings while they do it. And you were about to bring them up again. So please follow through with that.
Yeah, my pleasure. So Hogan really had a fundamental shift. There was a paradigm shift for most people when he came out with the 5 fundamentals of golf. And one of there's some detriments to that too, some of the things that he was teaching. But let me put a pause button on that real quick. All of these guys you see, including Ben Hogan, were able to get their mass moving in the direction they wanted to go at the point of impact. And that is the common thread through every good player, and same thing for every really good athlete. They're able to move themselves at the right time in the direction that they need to go. Now, there are different ways to do that, but that is the fundamental. If you want to be great at anything, you have to be able to control the direction of your energy. And that was, Ben Hogan certainly exemplified that, and his footwork is something that is incredible. If you're wanting to learn something from Ben Hogan, the best thing you can do is watch his lower body, because it's what we call 2-1 timing. And so this is where I should explain a little bit about the sequence of the swing. So Gravity Golf has a 4-part sequence, and at the end, all those parts mold together, so it's one flow. But there's the first part, which is the heave. And this is how you set it into motion. And it's contradictory to the slow backswing. What we're talking about is being able to unweight gravity, more or less, in the upper body. So you've got the weight of the club, you got the weight of your arms, and you need to get it to the top of your swing. But if you go up and you lift the club and you hold it at the top of your backswing, and I'll direct this question at you, is that a point of tension or is that a point of relaxation?
I try to make it relaxation, but yes, definitely tension.
If you're holding it up there, even if it's static tension, it is. And so I challenge you this next time, you're with your son Danny or one of your friends. I challenge you to lock arms with them, face in opposite directions, lock arms with them, and try and get them to turn rotationally.
Wait, you're back to back with the person, or?
No. So if your shoulders are level, but you're facing in opposite directions, and you link arms together.
Both arms or just one?
Just one.
Okay.
Just one.
Yeah.
And you try and get them to rotate and to turn. What you'll see is that they can't. Especially what you can actually do is just lay your forearm across their back so that their arm is wrapped around your arm at the elbow. And what you've done is you've created an incredible amount of leverage against them. But what you'll see is that they cannot move. They will not be able to rotate. Versus if they squat down and you can push all of your weight down on their shoulders and they try and squat up, they'll be able to do it with ease. And that's because the body is built. It's built that way. It's very strong going up and down. Rotationally, it's very weak. Those transversal muscles are very weak. So just a little bit of tension when you try to go to turn can put a lock on the whole system and throw you out of balance. But so what we're talking about with the heave, just a way to initiate the swing. This is where Nicholas said that he knew if he was going to hit a good shot in the first foot of his backswing. And this is because if you set it into motion right and you break the weight out of the upper body, then now the upper body is soft and the leverage disappears. So now what you have the freedom to do is as you rotate, as you're turning your back towards the target, you can actually allow yourself to start falling towards your target. So in the backswing, your weight is moving back towards that front foot as you're turning back. And this is where gravity starts taking over. Like your mass is now falling in that direction. So you're creating a ton of kinetic energy with with no effort whatsoever. You're just falling. And as your body is falling in that direction, you're still turning back, you can let the shoulders drop. So if the tension is already out of them, naturally this will happen. But if your shoulders drop as your body's still falling back towards the target, now all you have to do is make a very gentle rotation and everything will stay in balance. And you can just continue feeding your mass in the direction that you want to go, that energy towards your target. And it creates a completely different feeling. Like we said earlier, you need enough space to be able to do this. Like when you're first learning to feel this, you need more space. So for instance, addressing the ball with the club farther back, give yourself 6 inches, foot, something that feels kind of drastic at first. And what you're going to feel is now all of a sudden you've essentially given yourself that much room to be able to fall in the backswing towards your target. And that's when things are actually in motion, you have so much more feedback. And so you'll be able to start creating that flow. And then the better and better that you get at being able to feel that timing, then you can shrink it down to a smaller and smaller space where you really don't need that much space because you get that sequencing so spot on.
Why am I visualizing Adam Sandler when you talked about stepping into it? Well, so am I that far off, or was he that far off?
No. Honestly, I kind of think of this as like the Divine Comedy, just the fact that, you take something like a satirical movie that is, slapstick, and there is so much solid science behind that, which, it's opened up like kind of Pandora's box in a way, because you still see documentaries. I saw one on ESPN where they were trying to see if Padraig Harrington could hit it farther out of a Happy Gilmore mode than he could out of his normal swing, and he could.
Whoa!
There was more smash factor there. Like he was hitting it farther, and essentially, it kind of works that way. We have some very advanced drills. One where I start walking from about 8 feet back behind the ball, parallel to the flight line. So I've got enough room from where my body is to the end of the club and where the golf ball is. And I start walking towards my target. And then I rotate 180 degrees. So I'm walking backwards, looking backwards. And I have to actually time it out so that I let the shoulders drop and turn and pick it up and catch the ball on the rotation and just turn and start walking towards my target. And I tell you what, I did some things that really kind of blew my mind. I was practicing in San Diego at the Grand, and I was hitting 3 irons like that off of an uphill slope and just, walking towards my target, turning back, letting my shoulders drop and turning through and just catching it so pure. And I got to where I was...
The ball's not teed up. This is just sitting on the ground.
No. This is just on the ground.
Wow.
Just ripping through. And I got to where I was really engaged with my target. Like I was just, even though I would turn my back away, my mind was really, really engaged with where I wanted to go. And everything started linking up to where all of a sudden I was hitting all of these shots and they were landing within, a few feet of each other. from like 240 yards. And everything is just simple, really, really, really simple. I'm not thinking about anything except where I want it to go. And all of a sudden I feel the club hit melting point is the only way I can describe it. Like my upper body got so soft that I couldn't even feel my arms anymore. And I just felt the club hit this whole different place where all of a sudden it was like the club just was melting. And
it's an interesting description.
And I was able to start turning faster and faster. And it was like I had found the perfect sequencing. And so I kept picking up the pace of it a little bit. And I felt a bubble in the shaft. Like when I felt it like hit melting point, like all of a sudden I could feel the kick point in the shaft. And the faster that I started moving, the farther that the kick point was going towards the end of the club. Well, after doing this a few times, and I started moving it farther and farther, I moved it up to where the head was, and I made a perfect pass, nipped the turf, like no divot, just nipped it off the turf, and the head went flying off the end of the shaft.
Yeah.
And I was like, whoa, like that was an interesting feeling. And I started tapping into it, and I've done it again several times with the exact same thing happening, hitting perfect shots, zero divot. Like it wasn't like it was, the club was going into the ground and breaking the shaft. I've done it like 3 times.
No.
I swear to God,
why don't you ask your dad to get you some real clubs then? What are these snapping, these things? The heads are just flying off?
I mean, I talked to Nippon who makes the shafts. I mean, these are really high quality shafts, and they're like, there's nothing wrong with these shafts. I mean, these are, top tour quality shafts, and, they're TP versions, it's the good stuff. And, but it was just amazing. And then like I was teaching it to some of my friends, they started doing it too.
Wow.
And it was crazy. A friend of mine up in Michigan, he's a really good athlete, but he was doing those same drills, these 180 drills, we call them. And the same thing started happening. It's just like reaching this whole different level of efficiency. And so, I mean, that, take it for what you will. It's just an experience that I've experienced, and now I've had other friends experience too.
That's amazing.
One of the things that I really got out of this, which may be a bit different than what you think, is how engaging with where you want to go actually sends feedback to the body for your timing and sequencing and geometry and all of that. And this has kind of been like an ongoing study that I've been doing personally for a while, because I had a student who pitched and won in a World Series. Obviously so many amazing golfers, tennis players. I interviewed a friend of mine that had just gone out and shot 59 out at Orange County. And I was talking to my dad about it.
Sorry.
No, it's a good question. No, he's a hell of a player, man.
Obviously.
Leon Fricker, I think is his last name, from over in England. And he's a great player. But the things that we were talking about was, where were you mentally? Because all the times that I go out, best rounds, where I'll be going out and all of a sudden I just kind of go unconscious, and then I'll find myself with like 7 birdies and an eagle in a round or something. Which that stuff has happened to me in competition, like, many times, like where I would just, all of a sudden I would be in the place that I wanted it to go. And the first time I ever experienced this when I was like 15, for some reason I walked up to the first tee and I had been having trouble, like, shooting the numbers I want to shoot. I was shooting everything between like, low 70s, low mid 70s to like low 80s. And it was frustrating because I was spending a lot of time practicing. And, I had been there for a while. So, obviously you want to move forwards. And for some reason, I just imagined that I was standing in the place that I wanted the ball to end up. And I was watching the ball fly to me and land at my feet. And I went out that day, and I think I had like 6 birdies on the front 9, and I ended up shooting a 66.
Wow. That is being in the moment.
100%, man. And
you're
I've
not
realized,
thinking about the future. You're not thinking about the last shot. You're not thinking about your score. That is totally being in the moment.
and you feel like you're in the place you want to go. Like that's the thing that really, really ties it together. It's not just a visual thing. It has to be like a full sensory thing where you feel like you're in the place. You know, it's like an out of body experience, but it's, and you know, you start bringing in some astrophysics to this or whatnot, but I don't know, but it creates this magnetism. Like there's a gravity that it lets you know where you want to go.
You know where I want to go right now?
Where?
To a commercial. We'll be right back.
All right. Game on.
All right, that was a cheap shot. I'm sorry.
All
Continue
good,
on.
man.
I am mesmerized by this story. Go ahead, because I want to get to. You said
exuberance
number
of
one
the
is the
world.
heave. We got a couple more elements to do after the heave, but I'm mesmerized by this
Right.
story.
So there's, you know, and this is something I could talk about forever, man. Like, you know, with the World Series pitcher, man, like he was right there, you know, at the catcher's mitt, like in that space, like in the strike zone, like he was just right there. And, you know, everything else follows. So it's like when you have a strong enough intention about where you want to go, everything else follows. And that's truly what I believe. You know, there's so many of these great athletes, great golfers that you can talk to that honestly, they don't have a clue about what they're doing, but they have such a strong intention about where they want to go. They figure it out.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's what kind of brings us back. So like the gravity sequencing though, you know, eventually you start realizing, especially the older you get and everything else, about how important technique is, because efficiency, you know, it plays a big role.
Yeah.
And so, you know, coming back to the sequencing, coming back to Ben Hogan, you know, when you've got your body moving in the direction that you want it to go, how easily can you do that? You know, so many of these guys have already done it so many times, but they're fighting with it because they're internalizing energy and leverage in different ways. So, you know, it makes them real streaky sometimes. So to come back, the gravity golf sequence, you've got the heave, you've got the counterfall where the mass begins to fall towards your target, the shoulder drop, and then the turn. And that's the whole sequencing encapsulated. And I'll do a shameless plug for myself.
Please do.
So I spent like 2 years on this project, actually even a lot longer because I redid it so many times, but we've created a project called the Gravity Golf Challenge to essentially help people become, you know, scratch golfers or better. And it's a 48 lesson program broken down into 3 stages. It's an online curriculum. There's gamification in there. There's all these drills. Everything goes from a progressive standpoint. So, you know, you're starting off with very fundamental stuff. And as you continue coming at it from all these different viewpoints, you start seeing how essentially everything is bringing you back to that really simple intention. But you're creating an environment which is keeping your technique at a very high level. And they complement each other that way. So as you're moving through this program and as it gets, you know, more and more challenging, you know, your focus gets stronger and stronger, and it starts getting you in that mindset of having a really simple intention. So a lot of this is, you know, you're bringing in scoring aspects of it. Like every shot has a purpose, even if it's on the range, and you can start quantifying your success going forwards. And then we get into other stuff like the strategy of the game and things like that in the advanced part of the curriculum where we're using drones and everything to like fly the golf course backwards and show strategically how to, you know, avoid from short-sighting yourself and, you know, how to lay out a golf course, which, you know, a lot of that I learned from my dad, which he kind of surmised from Nicholas, because Nicholas my dad, you can ask my dad about this if you talk to him. But he was going to a tournament one day and he ran into Jack's caddy and he asked if Jack was there, and he's like, no, he'll be in tomorrow. You know, I'm just here because the plane's flying over to take pictures today. And it's like, okay, And so he started thinking about it and realized that he was plotting his way around the course. And based off of that, my dad started learning how to plot a golf course backwards. You start at the green, you figure out where you want your approach shot to come into that. Like, what's your safest part, to approach the green from? Like, what's the safest part of the greens? Like, where can you not short side yourself? And then, what's the best place to come into that spot, from your approach shot? And then, that's where you pick out your tee shot, your previous shot there. So it's like you're learning how to strategize your way into it as well. So, that definitely comes into play. But, this whole program, we try to encapsulate, all of gravity golf as much as possible into this program so that people could become their own instructor. So, that's available online.
Oh, so you're talking about this program, you're talking about the Gravity Golf Challenge.
The Gravity Golf Challenge, yeah. It's brand new. It's just come out. And I'll be happy to create a coupon, Golf Smarter, for any of your listeners.
Thank you.
So that'll, yeah.
All right.
Yeah,
well, I'll get details from you on that. But so tell me about it, if without the coupon, but we'll work that in. But tell me more how you find it, what it is, what it costs, and give me some more details.
So go to gravitygolf.com. You can find it right there. If you go under instruction, it's one of the first tabs right there. Just go to the Gravity Golf Challenge. There's also a link for it if you just scroll down on the home page. It is brand new right now. It's broken down into 3 stages. You can sign up for stage 1, 2, or 3, or a full access pass, which there's, as you go farther into it, the full access, you get a big discount. And the full package is $499.95 right now. And that's how it's set up. We've got a couple other video series. One that my dad did in the 90s, which, really hit a global market. We had the longest running infomercial in history at the time. So that was back in that age. And there was Chi-Chi and Rocky Thompson, a lot of those people on there. And then he did another one back in 2001. So this is really like the first big production that we've had since 2001. So
wow, exciting! All right, so $49.95 is for all 3, right?
It's just shy of $500 for the whole package at the moment.
Oh, 49. Wait, now I'm
$499.95.
Oh, $499.95 for the all 3.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, you can sign up, and there's a ton of content in there. For each lesson, there's 2 videos. There's one that my dad does on the science, and then I do one on the how-to. And then it actually shows you how to break it down into a kind of beginner, intermediate, or advanced level. So, for the amount of repetitions you're doing, for the drill variations, like how challenging you're making that specific drill, and then how you're able to adapt it. So it's a very extensive program, and it'll take you very, very far. Save you a lot of money on lessons.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So I need to break this down a little more, since you kind of teased us with it. So all 3 is $499.95 US, but you said you can do them as individuals, like one. Just like you can try package number 1, and if that works for you, then you can move forward. But what would just package number 1 cost?
Package number 1, the first 8 lessons is $124.95.
Okay. And
number 2 is $249.95, and then 3 is $349.95. Or you can do all of them together for $499.95.
Oh, okay. Mm-hmm. All right, and let's talk about that Golf Smarter checkout code.
Yeah. So you get a 20% discount when you go in and you type in the Golf Smarter coupon. So it's definitely worthwhile.
Okay, Golf Smarter could be one word. That's fine.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, all caps.
I didn't even get to ask you if we can have a discount. Thank you for offering.
That's my pleasure, brother.
Oh, that's great. That is cool. I want to go back to a question about your schools. They're like, are they 3-day schools, right? Or just
we do, yeah.
Paul talked about 3-day
historically
school.
that's what we've been doing for a long time is 3-day schools.
How long does it take for someone to get it? I mean, do people get it in the first day or the first hour, and then you're just spending the next couple days just reinforcing it and confirming that they're doing it properly?
Everyone starts to notice the difference really quickly. I mean, like right away. I mean, what you start becoming aware of yourself, and everyone is different, as you know. Like everyone is built differently. Like have a different amount of tension. Their mindset is in a different place. So it's in a lot of ways, it's like meditation or yoga or anything else. Like you're learning how to become aware of your body, but now you're also creating an environment that allows you to thrive doing that and creates these, bumper lanes, if you will, to let when things are going too far, too far out of balance physically and mentally. Mm-hmm. And so, that's what we're doing is we're giving people the tools to become their own instructor. Mm-hmm. And, that's what we're striving to do. And that's, what we accomplish in our schools is giving people those tools and that progressive outline to do that. And that's also something else that I had created, which I've just been doing it with the school students primarily, but I've created a progress management system. So we go out, we start keeping some statistics about their game, about their different rounds, and start tailoring their time management and their practice sessions based around the different aspects they need to work on with those drills. And a lot of that is learning to take some of these drills onto the course. Mm-hmm. Being able to go out, learning to, play out of a cross-footed mode, play 9 holes out of a cross-footed mode and then play 9 holes out of a normal mode. And everyone's different, some people's comfortability, but the wild thing is how often people go out and they play out of these drills and they shoot better than what they were shooting in their normal mode. And that's when they're hooked. Because immediately their awareness is better. Like,
well, yeah, it sounds like it's a moment where people are like not thinking about the last shot or the next shot of the scorecard. They're like focused. They're as we were saying, they're in the moment.
Exactly, and that's.
But what do you mean cross-footed drills? You haven't talked about.
Well, you'll have to check it out. Go online. So what we do essentially. You put yourself in a mode, where you're, like I was saying before, your center of balance, the circumference of your balance. So like if you lean forwards and back and around, with your feet spread, you're going to find this edge where you can go to before you start to lose your balance. Mm-hmm. And so what we're doing there is we're shrinking that safety envelope. And so when you're, crossing your feet, you're learning a one-footed mode. And the thing is, you can take those things and you can make them even more challenging by putting it on an uphill slope. Making sure that you're walking through your shots. You can do it with a longer lever, with a 3 or 4 iron rather than a 8 or 9 iron. All these different ways that you can continue to tailor it so that you're getting the right amount of feedback for you. And this is a really, really important part. And this may be, where we leave it, but you have to be able to keep moving yourself into a more challenging space. Like what happens is when people try something new, the fastest amount of learning happens right at the beginning. Mm-hmm. And then what happens is as you continue to do that, you start to plateau. And even with the drills, like you have to learn how to continue to progress through them and tailor them in a way so that it becomes more challenging and you keep honing in on, a smaller and smaller focus pattern. And, that's what you're doing. You've got all these different tools, but you have to start becoming aware of how to use them so that you can continue to make your practice challenging enough so that you're failing often enough that you're getting the feedback, but obviously you're succeeding often enough so that you're building that confidence and an awareness towards what works. So, there's a real art to how you lay out your practice and what it is that you're going through so you get that right, that biofeedback that you can feel yourself progressively moving forward. So we do that from from a statistical standpoint, as well as tailoring in the drills, to that right level for your athleticism and ability and time management and everything.
I used to have a lot of sway in my swing, and when I stopped the sway, all of a sudden my back pain was gone. I was nice and stable, but I have a good hip turn and a good follow through, but no more back pain.
So that's, you're learning how to keep your center of mass, closer to where it needs to be, and you're not throwing yourself as far out of balance. That sway that you're starting off with is, like we were talking about earlier, is because you don't have any room to actually fall and move forwards. So you're trying to create space, but what happens is if you shift off of it and you shift your weight into that back foot, as most people do, then they start the downswing from that back foot. And so they're trying to combine that linear and rotational movement together. And that's when you really start internalizing energy, trying to keep yourself from getting thrown off balance. And, that's how you do serious damage to yourself.
So interesting.
That's it. I'm spent.
Yeah, I bet, man. This has been absolutely amazing. And now I got to get your dad on the show. We got to make sure that he comes on and tells some stories and fleshes this out some more, because this is so great. And this offer that you made is kind of mind-blowing. I'm just looking at it going, this is something that would cost usually $499.95, and you just now, with the checkout code Golf Smarter, you're getting 20% off. So all of a sudden, it's $399. How many lessons do you get for that price that are effective like this, that can really help you, and you get to progress through this online with these guys? It's an amazing offer. Again, so you guys are at gravitygolf.com, GRAVITY, gravitygolf.com, correct? And you have a YouTube channel, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Are you on that stuff at all? Or
we do, and there's a ton of content that you can go and check out and dive into it and learn more about it. And then if you're ready to really dive in head first, take the challenge.
Okay. Well, again, thank you so much for being on the show and for giving me all this time. We were able to make 2 episodes out of it, Danny. It's Danny Lee of Gravity Golf. I'm so grateful for the offer and for the lesson that you just provided us. That was great. Thank you, Danny.
My pleasure. And thank you. And thank you to all of your listeners.
Well, later this week, I have an interview scheduled with Danny's dad, David, and if all goes according to schedule, that will be next week's episode. And as I was told when I was first introduced to them, make sure David tells stories, because that is what is his superpower. So not only will we hear more about Gravity Golf and how it works, we're going to also hear some great stories from the tour in the 70s. Wow. And how about that incredible offer, huh? Remember, use Golf Smarter when you sign up for the Gravity Golf Challenge at gravitygolf.com and receive 20% off of their listed offer. But there's more. Yikes. I just received confirmation from Danny that we're going to be able to give away stage 1 of the Gravity Golf Challenge. Remember, there are 3 stages, and your greatest savings of around $100 US is to purchase their all-access pass to all 3 stages. Each stage has a different price, but again, look for an upcoming announcement of our Stage 1 giveaway, and that will be later in November. Right now, it's late September, but that's going to be in November. Now, I'm going to make that giveaway in November because I'm actually traveling for most of that month and won't have the ability to do our regular drawings and then make the announcement. But it gives you a full month to register for that very special prize giveaway. Not to worry about missing any episodes during November, though. I have the ability to schedule the publication of upcoming episodes in advance, so there will be new episodes of Golf Smarter and Golf Smarter Mulligans all during November. And I've got a lot of interesting episodes scheduled all winter long. Okay, here's a good one for you. tomorrow, I'm going to play golf and record both audio and video of my round with a Golf Smarter listener who reached out to me. Now, why would I record this one specifically? I've played with Golf Smarter listeners before, but why this one? Because the listener that I'm playing with, Bob, is blind. And when he asked me if I was interested in playing with him, you can imagine that I jumped all over it. I am so excited to go play golf with Bob. And you'll get to hear about it soon, and hopefully you'll get to see it too, because I'm going to do both audio and video. Now, speaking of giveaways, you're probably interested to know if you won this time. Well, if your name is Stephen Lee and you live in San Antonio, Texas, then you just won. Congratulations. You were randomly selected to win a $100 Amazon gift card, courtesy of our friends at autoslash.com. Now, Stephen, that doesn't mean you can't win in November when we do our giveaway of the Gravity Golf Challenge or any other giveaway. Everybody who's won, if you enter again, you are registered to win again. It's a random drawing. So if your name comes up twice, I want to play golf with you because you're very, very lucky, right? Our next giveaway is for a free online assessment via the Coach Now app by none other than one of the great teachers of our time and featured recently in episode 706, Jeff Ritter of Make the Turn at mttperformance.com. That is a good one. A free online assessment of your swing from Jeff Ritter. You're going to get hooked. Deadline to enter is Sunday, October 6, 2019, midnight Pacific time, 3 a.m. Eastern. And to enter, go to golfsmarter.com and click on the giveaway banner at the top of the homepage. This week on Golf Smarter Mulligans, we're not only going back in time, we're going out of order. Huh? Yeah. I just realized this morning that I made a boo-boo in last week's Mulligans episode because it was actually part 2 of my conversation. Last week was part 2 of my conversation with Dr. Joseph Parent on his second book, Zen Putting, Mastering the Mental Game Around the Greens. And this week is going to be part 1. So if you've yet to hear part 2, then wait. Listen to part 1 this week and then go back and dive right into part 2 from last week. You can listen straight through. Does that make sense to you? I hope so, and I'm sorry for that screw up. Golf Smarter Mulligans is supported by autoslash.com and 2 guys with golfballs.com. They didn't screw up. That was me. 2 guys with golfballs.com and autoslash.com. And I thank them so much for their continued support of Golf Smarter and Golf Smarter Mulligans. So get your free subscription to either of those podcasts wherever you get your favorite shows. And if you have any questions, comments, or suggestions, I'd love to hear from you. Please click on the Hey Fred button at golfsmarter.com.